you cannot afford the vehicle. It just is what it is. Don't commit fraud. We're denying the claim. I'm going to go ahead and give you the 411 on all things when it comes to car insurance. Hi, my name is Ariel. I spent almost 6 years in the car insurance industry, and I am going to give you some tips, some tricks, and some guidance on your car insurance. I've worked from customer service all the way up to claims, so I'm going to give you a wide range of information when it comes to your car insurance, when it comes to filing a claim, and when it comes to your coverages, and etc. If you like this type of content, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Let me know what you guys want to know more about the experiences that I have in car insurance. I'm happy to give it to you. So let's go ahead and get into car insurance. First, let's talk about the main coverages that you have. As a claims adjuster, never really experienced this on the customer service side, but I've experienced a lot of this on the claims side. A lot of people mix up their liability coverage with coverage for their vehicle. Your liability coverage covers the other vehicle in case you are responsible for an accident. So what does that mean? You accidentally bump into someone's car. You accidentally rear end someone. Let's just say you lose control of your vehicle and you hit another car. That is going to cover the other party. That either is going to be a split limit or it's going to be a combined single limit. Combined single limit isn't normal in personal lines. You generally see that in commercial lines insurance, but it is something that they do offer on the personal lines section. So what is a split liability? So split liability means you may have a $100,000 max in liability coverage. You'll see something like 50/100/25. What does that mean? That means your max liability for bodily injury is going to be $100,000, right? That's that $100,000 number. I'll put it on the board so you guys can see what the split limit will look like and what it means. $100,000 is going to be the max your insurance company is going to pay out for bodily injury that are caused by a car accident that you're responsible for. The 50 number, that is how much per person can get. So let's just say you hit a car, there's two people in the car, and they're both injured, right? Let's just say one person injuries are severe and it's 50,000, another person's is 25. You still have enough with that $100,000 limit per accident that you'll be covered, right? You're going to have no problems. The only problem you're going to come into is, let's just say it's a severe accident and their injuries are more than $100,000. You could be on the hook for their injuries that are not covered by your insurance. Your insurance company is only going to cover up to the max. Now let's talk the 25 number. 25 number is the property damage. This is how much we are going to cover for the damages you caused to another vehicle that you're at fault for the accident for. That's the max. We're not paying more than that at all. So let's just say you caused a major accident and this vehicle is a 2026 vehicle, it's totaled. $25,000 is not going to cover a new 2026 vehicle. It just isn't. So if you total a 2026 vehicle, just assume that you're going to be having some out-of-pocket expenses. Let's talk about the coverages now that are going to cover your vehicle. And these are vehicle-specific coverages. What does that mean? That means if you have two vehicles on your policy, you need to make sure these coverages are on both vehicles. It does not transfer over to the other in normal situations. There's some stuff on the commercial side where you can lump something over to the next vehicle, but that's normally only in commercial lines. It's not in personal. So when you're dealing with personal, just know you need to add these coverages to each vehicle. Just because you have it on one does not mean it's going to cover the next. It just isn't. So let's talk about those coverages. You're going to have your comprehensive coverage. Right? It's going to cover you for theft, fire, animal hits. That's any animal hits: deer, dog, turkey, raccoon, anything. It's going to cover you, right? It's also going to cover for any rodent damage to your vehicle. So they get inside your vehicle to start chewing on all your wires. It's going to cover that. It's going to cover things like shopping carts hit. So a shopping cart hit your vehicle from across the parking lot. It's going to be covered by your comprehensive coverage, okay? A rock was thrown at your vehicle. It's going to be covered under your comprehensive coverage. That is what your comprehensive coverage is going to cover. Those things are things like that. It is not going to cover an accident with another vehicle. Next, you're going to have your collision coverage. This is going to cover you when you are involved in an accident with another vehicle. Yes, okay? That's all it's there for. It is not going to cover hail damage, which I forgot to say, your comprehensive coverage is also going to cover your vehicle in case of a natural disaster: hail, water, flood, tsunami, tornado, all those types of stuff. Comprehensive coverage. Your collision coverage is not going to cover any of that other shit. It's not going to cover hit by a rock. It's not going to cover a shopping cart hit. It's not going to cover animal damage or animal hits. It's not going to cover any of that. So if you think, because you're trying to lower your insurance costs, and if you just get collision coverage and your vehicle is going to be covered for the flood that happened, it's not. Okay, you're SOL. Okay, so make sure that you're having your comprehensive and your collision coverage, because what's covered under comprehensive is not going to be covered under collision, and what covers under collision is not going to be covered under comprehensive. And both of these coverages are going to come with deductibles. And I'm going to stress this. You will need to pay these deductibles regardless if you're at fault or not at fault for these accidents. So many times as a claim adjuster, I get on the phone with someone and they tell me, well, I'm not at fault in this accident. Someone hit my car while it was parked. It doesn't matter. These deductibles are going to be due regardless of fault. It doesn't matter. We are covering your vehicle because you're paying for the coverages regardless if you're at fault or not at fault for the accident. Okay, so whether you choose a $200 deductible or a $2,500 deductible, that is the deductible you're going to have to pay in the event that you're at fault for the accident. Now let's move on to the other coverages that you may be familiar with on a policy. Your rental coverage. This is going to cover a rental in case you are involved in an accident. This is not going to cover a rental because you want to go out of town and party with your friends. It's not that type of coverage. Okay? Stop calling into your customer service line saying, will my rental reimbursement cover me going? No. It's for an accident only. Okay? Moving on, roadside assistance. Roadside assistance are only for breakdowns of your vehicles, gas, or let's just say tire replacements. It does not include towing your vehicle during an accident. That would be covered under your comprehensive and your collision coverage. So make sure you think, a lot of people think, oh my God, I have roadside. I may not have comp and collision, but I'll have roadside. I'll be able to get my vehicle towed. You cannot use roadside assistance if you were involved in an accident with an animal, a deer, another person, or a car. Roadside does not cover that. It covers sudden breakdown in your vehicle that is not involved in an accident. Vehicle engine shuts off, no longer working. We'll tow it. Your tire catches a flat. We'll tow it. All right. We are not towing your vehicle if you hit a pole. That is covered on your comprehensive and collision coverage. Other coverages that you may also see on there, but it's vehicle dependent, is a loan lease gap payoff. This is a type of coverage that you may be able to select or may become standard on some policies. Well, I'll say in some states it's required for newer vehicles. Basically, this is to protect your vehicle in the event it is totaled, in the total amount that we're going to pay out to you is not going to cover the loan. That is a loan lease gap. That is what that is used for. Other coverages that you may be experienced with is UM, UIM, or UMPD, or UIMPD. Now, what are these coverages? I just said a bunch of letters, and none of y'all know what that is. It's uninsured or underinsured motorist bodily injury. That's going to be your UM or UIM coverage. And then your UM, UIM PD coverage is going to be the property damage coverage. What are these coverages? These cover your vehicles in case you're involved in an accident with an unknown person or a person who either does not have insurance or does not have enough insurance to cover your vehicle. Okay, so let's just say you just bought a 2027 Maserati, alrighty? And so-and-so Karen is driving her 2012 Toyota Camry, slides, has a medical emergency, slides and hit your vehicle, or whatever happens, and it's totaled, all right? Karen is only carrying $25,000 in property damage to cover your vehicle. This 2027 Maserati, it's not going to cover it. It just isn't. You're going to have a limit problem, which we'll talk about that more when we get to the claim process. So her insurance is going to tell you, you need to go through your own insurance because we're not going to be able to cover this. They just aren't. And I'm guessing I'm previewing the claim process. Your insurance company is only going to pay out to your max. They're not going to pay out more. I'm going to stress that to you guys more. So if you do not have the correct insurance coverage, the party's going to have to go to their own insurance company. We're going to pay out the max that we are required to pay, and then they're going to come after you. But we'll get into that in the claims process, okay? I'm talking about UM and UMI. So basically, those are what those coverages are. So let's go ahead, because I've been rambling a little bit, and discuss and reiterate what those are. So if you're seeing your policy on a declaration page, or you're looking at your policy online, UI or UMI, and there's no PD after that, it's bodily injury. And that is going to cover you in case you are injured in an accident with someone who does not have enough insurance or does not have insurance at all. If you see UIM or UMPD, that is property damage. That will cover your vehicle in the event that is involved in an accident that you're not at fault at, and the other party either does not have insurance or doesn't have enough insurance, okay? When it comes to UMPD, specifically, to the property damage portion, some states do not have UMPD. Make sure you are checking your coverages with your agent or with your insurance company, because I have gotten calls from people saying, hey, the police officer told me that I can use my UMPD, the claim process, and I have to let them know Washington State doesn't have UMPD. You're gonna have to use your collision coverage. But what's the UI? That's bodily injury. Unless you're injured in this accident, there's no payout for that. So please make sure that you are speaking to your licensed agent, or you are speaking to your insurance company, customer service, or the salesperson, and making sure what coverages are on your policy and making sure what coverages are actually in your state, because some states do not have UMPD. They expect you to cover it on your collision coverage, which you're going to have a deductible. Now, with UMPD, there tends to be a lower deductible. So let's just say you have collision coverage and your deductible is $1,000. A lot of times your UMPD is going to be $250, $500. It's going to be a lower deductible amount, which is the reason why a lot of people would want to use that in the event they're involved in an accident with someone who's either underinsured or not insured at all. Okay? But it's still a deductible. There is still a deductible. So please make sure you are appropriately selecting your deductible amounts, okay? Also, in some states like Virginia specifically, I know for sure, rental can be afforded under your UMPD coverage. But I worked for Progressive. That's the company I worked for. A lot of times it requires an inspection on your vehicle prior to us giving you that rental coverage. So you may be out of vehicle for longer because if you decide, oh, I'm not going to use my rental coverage, I'm just going to use my UNPD, you may not be able to use it right away. So make sure you have the appropriate coverages on your policy before you are filing a claim. And those are all the coverages I want to go over right now. There are some other coverages that may be state specific that aren't normal across all states, but I talked about most of the ones that are in the majority of the states. Let's move on to the claim process, because that's where I spent a long time in. That's the most recent that I spent a long time in. Okay, so filing a claim. Let's talk about that process. Some places like Progressive, Geico, State Farm, the General, you are going to be able to file your claim online. Okay, don't have to call into anyone. You can open up an app and file a claim right then there. A lot of them are going to allow you to file the claim with someone over the phone. I will let you know, a lot of these companies are moving towards an AI filing on the phone. I can't remember what the name of the insurance company was when I had to file as an adjuster through another company. It was like an AI. I didn't speak to anyone. So just be conscious that sometimes you may not speak to someone for several days. So if you need any immediate assistance, I'm talking about a rental, I'm talking about a tow. Once you file that claim online, make the call with your claim number and speak to someone in the claims department so that you can get that tow, because it could be several days before someone reaches out to you. I know for a fact, as far as Progressive process, it's 48 business hours. 48 business hours. If you decide to file your claim Friday at 5 p.m., you may not hear from someone until Monday. And if you need a rental, if you need a tow, if you need any of that information right then and there, you probably need to call someone, because your adjuster is not going to be assigned until a work day. And it's typically within 24 to 48 hours. Typically, it can be quicker than that, but that is the time frame. Now, let's talk about things that may prevent you from getting your vehicle fixed quickly, or getting a rental, or getting a tow quickly. Let's talk about coverage issues. What are coverage issues? There could be a multitude. Most of the common ones are recent policy inceptions. What that means is you just recently bought your policy. You're on your first term with them, basically. Recent policy inceptions are going to require, unless in Progressive's case, because that's where I worked, it required a supervisor to clear it. There's certain information we need to clear the recent policy inceptions. Recent lapse. So let's just say you had a recent lapse in your coverage. Oops, you forgot to renew your policy, so you decided to renew it and you renewed it 5 days late. I mean, 1 day late, it's gonna flag, but you know what I mean. It's gonna, and then, oh my God, you had an accident 3 days later. It's gonna flag. It's gonna flag it. It's gonna flag it. Recent reinstatements. Let's just say your policy canceled for a non-payment. It's gonna flag because of fraud. I'm not gonna tell you how long you have to have your policy with Progressive to avoid these coverage issues. I'm definitely not going to tell you that, because that's committing fraud. But just know that if any of those things happen to you recently, and recently is probably within like the last 6 months, just know that when you file a claim, there could be those coverage issues that prevent you from getting a rental right away and getting your vehicle fixed right away. Another couple other things that may be very prominent is excluded drivers. If you have any excluded drivers, we need to make sure that none of them are driving the vehicle. And FYI, if someone is excluded on your policy, permissive use does not apply. Permissive use is only for people who are not excluded. Excluded drivers are excluded drivers. That means these people are not going to be driving your vehicle whatsoever, no matter what. So if you have someone who's excluded driving your vehicle, please tell them to stop or unexclude them. Unlisted drivers are also going to flag. Less extreme, but they are going to flag because they're unlisted. We need to make sure that number one, they're not household members, and we also need to make sure that they're not driving the vehicle frequently enough. They actually should be a listed driver. Okay. Also, out-of-state accidents are going to flag. Yes, you are from Virginia and you had an accident in Colorado, it's gonna flag, baby. It's gonna flag. And it's really super simple. The out-of-state ones are really super simple. We just need to make sure, number one, that you have not moved, because coverages are different per state. And so you need to make sure that you are keeping your information updated. If you have moved states, update it. Update your information with your insurance company. You do not want to delay your claim process because you moved from Virginia to Maryland and didn't tell your insurance company. You need to tell them, because there are different procedures and coverages and etc. in every state. Now, it's easy to clear these things. A lot of times people are just traveling, especially that DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, all that area. Typically people are just traveling for work. So it's super simple to clear those types of coverage issues, but just make sure that when you are doing your statement, and they ask you, hey, why were you in that state? Don't get defensive. It's just to make sure that we are offering the best coverages for you and make sure that you're not moving. Also, another thing is that if you're at fault for an accident, there are different liability limits in each state. So the minimum, I'm talking about minimum state limits. Say your policy is in Florida, which has a minimum state, and this is so stupid, but a minimum state you can have for liability is $20,000. I know it's bad, and you decide to have an accident in a state like Maryland, where I believe the minimum is like either $50,000 or $60,000. If you're at fault for the accident, we have to abide by the liability limits in the state the accident happened in. So that is the reason why we need to know, like, what are you doing out of state? And is there a property damage limit increase that we are going to have to do because the state that you have, because you have minimum liability in your state and it may be less than the other state that you had the accident and that you're at fault for. So let's talk about liability. Let's talk about fault. Single vehicle accidents, 90% of the time, are going to be at fault accidents. I'm so sorry to you guys. Yes, you hit a pothole, it's going to be an at fault accident. I didn't see it. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't. It's going to be an at fault accident. The only single vehicle accidents that are not at fault accidents are deer hits. Deer hits, animal hits are the only ones. There is no other way around that. Also, if you rear end someone, I don't care if they stop suddenly. You should have been far away from them enough that you did not rear end them. You're going to be at fault for, babes. Do apologize. Weather-related accidents. Let's just say you're driving on the snow. Not natural disasters. I'm talking about weather-related. It's raining, it's snowing, the old man is snoring. Okay? Typically, those are going to be at fault accidents too. They are. The snow, it doesn't matter. You've been driving in this for how many years? You knew what the weather's going to be like. You either should have stayed home or took a precaution when driving. It just is what it is. Now let's talk about subrogation. Subrogation. What is subrogation? Subrogation is when you're not at fault for an accident and we go after either an individual or another company for the damages on your vehicle. Coming in here to interject, because subrogation is also used for when you're at fault for an accident and the other party went through their own insurance. They will then subrogate us for the money back for damages to the vehicle, or sometimes even medical expenses. So I kind of wanted to come on here and correct that, because I know I didn't explain that subrogation isn't just about outbound, which means we are pursuing other people. Subrogation is also about inbound, where people are pursuing us for reimbursement for accidents that our insurance caused that they're at fault for. It's used for both. It's used for both. So sorry. This process does not start until repairs are completed on your vehicle or we have paid you out for damages on your vehicle. So you're not getting your deductible back quickly. It's not happening quickly. If there's any delay in the repair process or anything like that, it could take a minute before you get it back. And God forbid if it goes to arbitration and we are disputing fault or disputing cost to repair. That means you may not get it back for longer. I'm just saying. I never worked in subrogation, so I can't say for sure what triggers a return of the deductible quicker than the other. All I can tell you is that if you're using your own insurance and expecting to get a reimbursement from another insurance company, it's going to be a minute. Just understand that you're going to be out that money for a little bit. Stop calling and asking what's going on. You're not going to get an update for subrogation. They're not going to update you weekly. No. Okay. So just know it's going to take a minute. Also, getting money back from an individual is very difficult. It's very difficult. The other person does not have insurance. It's going to be very difficult. So just if you are in an accident with someone who does not have insurance, just assume you're never seeing that deductible again. If you get it back, you get it back. I'm not saying that, but there are several reasons why it's hard and we wouldn't be able to get money back from an individual. Yes, we'll go after them. Yes, we'll target their license. In some states, your license could get suspended. Yes, in some states, you could be sued and your wages can be garnished. Like, there's ways, right? But you don't get your deductible back until we get our money back when it comes to an individual and when it comes to a company. So please, just stop asking in the middle of the repair process when I'm gonna get my deductible back. Maybe the process hasn't even started to get the deductible back. And even then, it could take a while. Let's go ahead and move on to fraud. Do not commit fraud on either end, whether it's towards your insurance company or whether or not someone else is at fault, because we will find out. Do you know that police cars are taking pictures of your vehicle randomly throughout the day? And it's getting uploaded into this system that insurance companies have access to. Do not get into an accident March 5th of 2026, that you have no insurance, so you go get insurance in June of 2026 and then try to claim that these damages are nil. Because, like I said, back to those coverage issues, those things are going to flag. Oh, you got a new policy? Okay, confirm the date of loss. Confirm that this accident happened on this date. If they run your shit through that system and those things that are coming back from March of 2026, and you ain't start your policy with us until June of 2026, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Do not commit fraud because you will be dealt with. On another note, do not commit fraud with Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance is known to insure people who are insurable. If you commit fraud with us, you are blocked from having insurance with us. And we are going to notify LexisNexis. Make that your known name. Make sure you know what that is. That is where your motor vehicle records are going to be uploaded and your claims are going to be in. LexisNexis will notify all the other insurance companies that you tried to commit fraud. What's going to happen is it's going to be a hard time going to get insurance with the General, with State Farm, with Geico, with Liberty, because we insure the insurable. We'll insure someone who's committed fraud against State Farm, but State Farm is not going to insure someone who committed fraud against Progressive. So don't commit fraud. We have tons of programs tons of ways to figure out that you're lying. Don't commit fraud. So let's go on to some tips. Check your coverages and check your policy frequently. Every time you renew, you should be checking your policy and making sure it's accurate. Every time you make a change to your policy, you should be checking the declaration page you're getting in the mail and checking your policy online. Okay, you should not be figuring out what coverages you have when you file a claim, because the minute you file a claim, there's no way to retroactively add back rental. There's no way to retroactively add back collision coverage. There's no way to retroactively lower your deductible. You can't do that. You can't. And if you do, that's committing fraud. Now we're on the fraud. You would have to manipulate the day of loss to get the lower deductible. So check your policies and check them frequently. Deductibles should be what you are comfortable with paying in the event of an accident. Okay, there are many different reasons why another insurance company may not cover your vehicle in case you're not at fault for an accident. Coverage issues, no coverage. Say they went and got a policy after the fact. There are so many reasons why we have denied claims that have nothing to do with the other party. And then I have to hear, well, I don't have collision coverage with State Farm. But that's not my fault. We're denying the claim. You're going to have to figure it out and going to have to pursue the person individually. You do not want to be asked out on a claim because you thought, oh, I'll never get into an accident where I need to use my comp and collision coverage. What? Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Okay? Yes, you will. So make sure that you are picking a deductible that you are comfortable paying with. Also, most claims are under $2,000. Most of them. Your dings, your scratches, your this, your that, unless it's a newer vehicle, because newer vehicles can cost a lot. Can be expensive, newer vehicles. But if you're rocking a 2015 Toyota Camry, to fix that car is going to be less expensive than fixing a 2026 Toyota Camry. So do not get a deductible of $2,000 because you want to lower your insurance. And now you're upset because we're the same way as insurance, car insurance, the same way as health insurance. You need to meet your deductible before we pay out anything. So if your damages are $1,500 and your deductible is $2,500, good fucking luck. You're paying out of pocket for your damages. We're not paying anything. Make sure you're getting a deductible that you're comfortable with paying, okay? If you need a high deductible to afford insurance on a newer vehicle you just purchased, you cannot afford the vehicle. Point blank, period. Because we know for sure you're not affording the $2,500 deductible either. Get the deductible you are comfortable with paying with and pay it. Also, I would recommend getting an agent. An agent's going to be able to explain to you the coverages you have, and they're going to be able to advise you on the coverages you need to get. You're calling into the insurance company. A lot of times those people aren't licensed. They can only make changes to your policy that you want to make changes to. They cannot advise you on the coverages that you need. They cannot tell you the coverages that should be on the vehicle. That's something that you're going to have to know. So make sure that you either know the coverages and get them explained to you, because we can explain it to you, we can't advise you, or get an agent who can advise you the coverages you need on your policy. Also, make sure you're opening every piece of mail that your insurance company is sending you, because you never know. Sometimes we send out mail because someone has filed a claim against your policy and we need to speak to you. Even if it was an error, maybe they got the wrong person, maybe they're trying to commit fraud. Whatever the case is, open your mail. Open your mail. Make sure your address, your email, and your phone number is updated, because that's how we're going to be able to get a hold of you. If we cannot get a hold of you, we're going to close the claim. Or maybe in a bad situation, we'll move forward with someone else's damages because we can't get a hold of you. Also, insurance is moving towards AI. AI is creeping into every portion of insurance, so you just better get comfortable with it. Geico, State Farm, Liberty Mutual, Progressive, all of them. They're all doing it. They're all doing it. So it doesn't matter where you go, they're all moving towards AI. So that's all that I have to say. These things may seem elementary, but quite honestly, the amount of people that have called in during the claims process and don't even know what their coverages, what their coverages cover, is too many, that I know for a fact some of you guys are not understanding what your insurance is. Too many times people call in and go, well, what is my insurance for? Your insurance is to cover you in case you're at fault for an accident, so you're not sued. But also you have the comp, the collision, to cover your vehicle in case you're involved in an accident. It's to cover you on both ends. Okay? I can't stress this enough. Make sure you understand the coverages you have on your policy, and make sure that you are checking your policy frequently enough. You may have forgotten you put your vehicle on storage, and all of a sudden now you're driving it in May. Please, you're going to forget. So make sure before you step out on the road, I'm not saying every day you gotta check, but I'm saying you should be checking frequently enough. At minimum, at renewals. Whenever you're making any changes to your policy. If you do end up putting your vehicle on storage, make sure you put a note or something like, hey, I'm gonna need it in May. I'm gonna pick my vehicle back and start using it back in May. Put it in your schedule. Put it in your Google Calendar or your Apple Calendar or whatever calendar, and notify yourself, hey, you put this car on storage. Maybe you should check the coverages. Because you do, like I said, and I'm going to keep stressing this, you do not want to find out what coverages you have when you're filing a claim. Because nothing makes you more upset at me when I have to call you to tell you that you do not have collision coverage and your car is sitting in storage. Because another thing that your company will do, Progressive, if your car is sitting in storage, and as long as it's not a part of a police investigation, so that's there. But if it's just sitting in storage or sitting at a tow lot yard, we will pay to not only get that vehicle out of the storage yard, but take it to a shop for you. I would rather not have to pay $500 to get my vehicle out of storage. That's kind of it. If you guys have any questions, please put down below. I'm here to help with any questions you have about insurance, and I will do my best to answer them. And I'll let you know if I am aware of what you're talking about or if I'm not aware of what you're talking about. I'll let you know. But other than that, if you have any questions, let me know, okay? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.